Alrighty, so this looks like it's going to be the mark of the PS5 Pro, the reveal, the beginning.
I'm excited to be here to talk about the newest addition to our console lineup,
Here it is.
PlayStation 5 Pro, and how it advances gaming technology. But first, I want to take just a minute to look at what we put in the original PlayStation 5 and how it delivers an exceptional gaming experience. When PS5 debuted in 2020, it brought
Oh, I thought it was longer than that, so it's only been 4 years.
Cores form the brains of PlayStation 5 and enable high-speed, complex gameplay with character counts reaching into the hundreds and frame rates that can be as high as 120 frames a second.
Oh, I wonder what they're going to say frames can be on this.
GPU, which can render anything from intricate details to fantastic worlds with vast panoramas to explore. Ray tracing allows for dramatic visual improvements, including reflections off of water or glass, and the realism that comes from real-time global
Okay, we get it.
illumination.
PlayStation games can look pretty.
Custom SSD can load data at breathtaking speed, resulting in ultra-fast transitions between game worlds and data streaming rates so high that traversal speeds are essentially unlimited.
You okay? I'm working on it.
Tempest 3D audio tech brings an unparalleled sense of immersion to the sound of the games.
So are they going to show all of
Audio
this
so
and then be
real, you
like,
may not
and
even
this
need
is
to
what we
see
have on the
enemies
PS5
to
Pro?
know exactly where
Because like,
they
are they still trying to sell the originals here?
Finally, the DualSense controller has haptics that let you feel through your hands what your character is experiencing inside of the game.
Which is cool. DualSense is
Wonderful
cool.
to see such variety and richness of game experiences. Creators have made amazing use of the hardware capabilities, but when I talk to them, I do hear about their desire for more graphics performance.
Okay.
The dreams of the developers are bigger than can be supported at 60 frames per second, and that leads to an aspect of modern gaming that we're all familiar with: graphics modes. It can be
Okay.
a difficult choice for players.
So like on PC, how you can choose different types of
Fidelity modes
options.
emphasize the visuals, typically through higher resolution rendering. These modes might also have enhanced detail or use more ray tracing. But the games only run at 30 frames per second. The visuals can be choppier,
It's not good
and the
enough.
controls less responsive. Performance modes emphasize frame rate and interactivity, typically choosing to run at 60 frames per second. Mainly by reducing the graphical detail until those frame rates can be achieved.
Okay.
When asked to decide on a mode, players are choosing performance about 3/4 of the time.
Which makes a lot of
Removing
sense.
That decision, or at least narrowing that divide, is one of the key targets for PlayStation 5 Pro. We want to give players the graphics that the game creators aspire to, at the high frame rates that players typically prefer. To do that, PS5 Pro substantially improves over PlayStation 5 in 3 ways. Here's what we
Graphics.
call the big 3.
Advanced ray tracing
First, we
and
made
well,
the
I didn't see what the
GPU
last one
much
was.
larger and increased the speed of the memory it uses. The result
Okay.
is rendering that's up to 45% faster.
That's a lot of percents.
Second, we made major upgrades to the ray tracing, taking a streamlined and accelerated approach that allows calculation of the rays at double or even triple the speeds of PlayStation 5. And finally, we added custom hardware for machine learning and an AI library called PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, or
What the
PSSR
heck?
for short. PSSR analyzes the
I don't know
game
how I feel
images
about that.
pixel by pixel and can add an extraordinary amount of detail, which boosts the effective resolution of the games. Game creators are adding PS5 Pro support to new and existing titles, and with the big 3 involved, the results can be pretty amazing, with graphics showing something like fidelity levels of detail, but at double the frame rate. Here's The Last of Us Part 2 running on PS5 Pro.
Looks pretty. I'll give them
It
that.
has huge amounts of detail and targets a super smooth 60 frames per second. Let's compare this to the fidelity mode on PS5, which is only running at 30 frames per second and is therefore much choppier.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can see the choppier. That's the main difference, but it also looks
This goal
crisper.
of delivering almost fidelity-like graphics at performance frame rates has been achieved for a broad set of titles, including Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. We can see that PS5 Pro is close to doubling the power of PlayStation 5.
There's just more frames.
Another way to compare the two
More frames
consoles
equals
is to
better.
look at PS5 Pro versus Performance mode on PS5, both of which target 60 frames per second.
Whoops.
What we see here is a difference in detail. PS5 Pro is much sharper and crisper than PS5. For this, my favorite is the parade scene from Ratchet & Clank. Distant details are much
Wait.
clearer.
You can see that there's more people on the
And
performance
here
one,
we
though.
can see Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is noticeably higher resolution throughout the scene.
Now that's
including
one's
the
noticeable.
trees
I'll give them
and
that.
procedural cars. So overall, some remarkable improvement to the games. On PS5 Pro, we can see increased sharpness to the graphics or smoother and more responsive gameplay. This is the big three showing their value. As you've been seeing, machine learning via the PSSR library is being used quite broadly to add pixel detail and boost frame rate. But there are as many approaches as there are game engines. The increase in raw GPU power is being especially effective for Horizon Forbidden West. Apart from the detail boost, that extra
So the main
graphics
thing
power
you're
is
going to
allowing
get
for
here is
improvements to
extra
lighting and
frames.
visual effects,
So more or less the games are going to look a little bit better. You're going to get more frames. It's going to be smoother. So in other words, you can
as well
play
as to
on
the
these
hair and the skin in cinematic.
fidelity mode
Open
with
up, guys.
120 frames,
Door
or should
closed.
be.
Good enough for me.
Ray tracing is finding broad usage as well, particularly when the games are focused on higher frame rates. The faster hardware in PS5 Pro can make a real difference. Allowing Gran Turismo 7
Is that
to
a
add
frame counter?
ray-traced reflections between the cars in gameplay, while continuing to support their targeted 60 frames per second. That boost in
It
ray
still keeps
tracing is
saying
also
60
delivering
though.
big wins for Hogwarts Legacy. Allowing not only
Wonder
for
if they're gonna,
better
like, throw in
reflections
any,
and a
like,
greater
new
variety
games
of
or anything
reflective
here.
surfaces, but also for further realism in the casting of shadows. I hope you've enjoyed this run-through of the technology behind PlayStation 5 Pro.
Show it.
Simply put, it's the most powerful console we've ever built, and a worthy addition to the PS5 family. Let me wrap this up.
That was a
by
creepy
giving you
smile. That was a
quick
creepy
look at
smile.
the number of games running on the
Show
new
me what the
console.
console looks like. Let me guess, it's copyrighted music. But that's what it looks like. I'm kind of in the way of it, but looks more or less the same. Oh, look at those flowers.
Close your eyes. It'll be worth it.
Okay.
Love that game. First one was better, but still love that game.
Did I do it? Oh, what is this? What's with all the neon?
Oh, that's the new Assassin's Creed game. That's not out yet, at least. Gran Turismo 7. Hogwarts. Cars go vroom vroom. Like, honestly, like, it's hard to judge it based off of this because I feel like the biggest difference you are going to get with the PS5 Pro is going to be more frames. So it's not actually like the game that's going to look... Oh, whoa, hold up. $6.99 American. Available November 7th already. So really, that last thing there is probably the biggest one. Right there, this... I'll go back a little bit more. There we go. All right, so this, I'm going to get rid of my face here for a second, is what the console is going to look like. $6.99 American, and then you got the euros on there and everything else, but $6.99 American, which is pretty pricey, honestly. Like, it's not going to get me to buy one. I'm playing everything on PC these days. So yeah, it's not going to get me to buy one. There's obviously, it doesn't look like any CD port in there. I don't think there's going to be an option to have a CD port. Vertical stand sold separately, so you have to lay it flat. Yeah, honestly, not worth me buying it, but it's interesting. It's also interesting to see the price point. What are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments, but that has been the PS5 Pro.